Thank you for tuning in to the Journey of Giving Back. Each episode we feature amazing people making the world better, to inspire, to motivate, to get people more involved in their local communities. This particular episode, I'm so happy and proud and very fortunate to meet my new friend Chelsea Bray. Chelsea's here from New Jersey, and she's a special lady, a wonderful mom. She's raising Archie Edmund, who has autism. She has a wonderful husband, Tom, tremendous soccer player. We're going to go down the incredible book here, Adventures Down Autism Avenue. And it's a beautiful book, and we're going to explore that with her. You know, getting ready for the show, I was thinking about autism more than usual, but it's hard not to think about autism. It's in the news. Everybody's talking about it now. And I figure more now than ever, we got to take, the secret away from it and get it out there to really talk about it. Good morning, Chelsea.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I love talking about autism. So
I know we were talking in advance about the color blue. You have your beautiful blue dress on.
Yes.
I believe this is blue. I don't know if I'm colorblind,
no, but I think we color coordinated nicely
indeed,
to represent.
Indeed. And I also have to say before we get into detail about your mission, your passion project, because I love passionate people that care about the world and stand for something.
Yes.
I think that's really important.
Yes.
And I have my accoutrement, ask me about my podcast.
Yes.
But you brought some beautiful things in today. Adventures Down Autism.
Yep.
I love this. I mean, this is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And obviously your book, you have a bag, support your local autism community.
Yes.
Peace, Love, Autism.
Yes, my favorite shop, Peace, Love, Autism. She's based in Texas, and get all my gear from her. She's an autism mom, and she's crushing it. So
that's wonderful. And I know you have a bracelet.
Yes, I wore my blue bracelet. This is T. Giselle. She's in Cape Cod. She's a jewelry designer, and she made an autism awareness bracelet, so I wear it every day. I don't take it off.
I love all the accoutrements, and I like saying the word accoutrement.
Yeah. I'm going to use that in my daily jargon now.
I was at a flea market years ago on Route 29.
Yeah.
And I found a little clock said accoutrement, and my buddy always busts me about it. It fell apart, but I do like saying accoutrement. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
I understand, you're a corporate event planner.
Yes. Yep.
And tell us a little bit about, what that's all about.
Yeah, so I started my career in weddings. I started wedding planning. I loved weddings. They're a lot of work. And as becoming a mom, I kind of shifted gears career-wise to something a little bit more stable, a little bit more consistent. So I do corporate events now. So it's not as creative as weddings, but I love it. Every day is different. I get to plan, which is my thing. But really, and it's a great career, but I always just wanted to be a mom. My heart was just I've always wanted to be a mom. Like when I was little, I was always the one carrying a baby around at the party. I babysat as young as like 11, 12 years old. I was babysitting the neighborhood kids and always wanted kids of my own. So meeting Tom, my husband, all my dreams came true when I got to have a baby. And then I found out it was a boy, and that was my dream, was raising a child.
So your husband, Tom, I understand he's a world-class soccer star from England who's now here in the States.
Yes.
And I know soccer is also important in a lot of people's lives, including yours.
I grew up playing soccer. I had an English soccer trainer for years, and so now I married an English soccer trainer.
Wow.
It's funny how it works out. So I'm able to watch with him and know what's going on, and I'm fun to watch soccer with because I can keep up with him. So.
Yeah, what's interesting? I'm learning more about soccer. They call it the pitch.
Yes,
I didn't understand. I'm like, what pitch? What are you talking about?
The pitch. It's actually called football. And if you argue with him on anything about the English language, he's like, we created the English language, so it is football. It's not soccer. So it's football. The cleats are called boots. It's a whole different
vernacular.
Yes.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on is Archie Edmund. So, like you said, each episode I feature something I think that's important, hopefully for the audience. For there, hopefully to, inspire and motivate and educate.
Yeah.
And I got a big education getting ready for the show. So let's talk about Archie Edmund. Now, you're blessed with Archie.
Yes.
He's 6.5 now.
Yes. Yeah.
And the show, for the audience, I'm sure they probably figured out there's going to be something about autism, and I brought that up in the opening. But with Archie, when did you realize that he might have some aspect of autism?
Yeah. When he was born, there was no indication, of course, as a newborn, but, the doctors, when we were getting him diagnosed, they were like, did you have a regular birth? Was there anything you noticed? We didn't notice anything. He turned 1, and around 15, 16 months was when the whole world shut down. We're first-time parents. We don't know. And, my parents, some people were like, oh, he's not really talking yet. And we were like, I don't know, like, what are the milestones? So he wasn't really talking. So that was our first kind of red flag, but that didn't lead us down anything to think it was autism. We're like, oh, he's not talking yet, no problem. We'll work on it. But, we were at home. Didn't have availability of like services because the whole world was shut down. So we got him evaluated with early intervention through the state for a speech delay. So naive little me was like, oh, he's just not talking yet. They did an evaluation and it was over Zoom, which I think makes it even harder because we couldn't be in person. And they were like, oh gosh, he can't do this. It was all this, he can't, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, he can't do this. And I was very like taken aback. I was like, oh, here I am thinking he had a speech delay. So he immediately started services. He met with a behaviorist on Zoom, speech on Zoom, everything was on Zoom. And there wasn't a lot of progress. And I remember, like a year later, he's now 2 and there's not a lot of progress being made. And a lot of people in his life, therapists, different people were alluding to the fact that we should go see a developmental pediatrician. And I was like, why? What does that mean? Not knowing, they were gently telling us to go get him diagnosed. They couldn't say, hey, I think your child's autistic. It's not their job to say that. And we got nudge after nudge after nudge to go to a developmental pediatrician. I was like, all right, we'll go to a developmental. And within an hour, she diagnosed him autistic just before he turned 3.
So let me ask you this, Chelsea, because one of the things, obviously, we live in a world where someone's labeled or they have a diagnosis.
Yes.
And obviously autism. And one of the things also, which is kind of like intriguing to me is that growing up, we never talked about autism. That diagnosis clearly wasn't in the language, wasn't in diagnostic criteria. And now I read, getting ready for the show, 1 in 31 kids now are now diagnosed with autism.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, well, wait a minute, did just the doctors, did the parents, did the people just overlook this?
Yes.
What were your thoughts on that?
I wish I had the magic answer to why that number is so high and so prevalent right now. I do think there is a more awareness. I think people are able to more accurately diagnose. I've actually gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole of a lot of adults now getting a late term diagnosis. Women and men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, late 20s are now getting an autism diagnosis later in life, getting an ADHD diagnosis, getting an ADD diagnosis, and they're now sharing their thoughts. And they're like, if I had known that when I was 12, had I had that information, my life would have been so much different had I known, because I was labeled as the problem child. My teachers said I couldn't stop talking, I couldn't sit still, and they were not treated and given the right help and the right aid at school because they didn't have a diagnosis. And now they're learning so much about themselves. I guess easier to diagnose, or doctors are understanding it more, but adults are now getting that diagnosis and they're thinking, wow, my life would have been so much different had I known. And so now I'm kind of like even more thankful that like Archie, we have the answers. So
one of the things, obviously, as I started to bring up, the fact is when you heard the diagnosis, autism. Which is, there's going to be people listening today to this important show. And, everybody, when you get a label, did you freak out? What happened?
I was distraught. And I know this is going to sound weird to people who haven't experienced it. I was grieving. I felt like I was in a state of grief because I was grieving the life I had planned for my child. And a doctor was now telling me that's not the life he's going to have. I was distraught. I think also because it was scary because I didn't have an example of a happy, healthy, thriving autistic child. I didn't know enough. I didn't know what his future could be like. So you think when you have a child, their life is going to look one way. And now your doctor's saying your child's severely autistic was the word she used. Now, I would love her to meet him again at 6.5 because I wouldn't use the severe anymore. But in his report, she said he's severely autistic.
So if you'll permit, so this is important for us because obviously a diagnosis is just a diagnosis, doesn't define the person.
Correct.
And that's the danger with labels in life.
Correct.
Because unfortunately, people then go on a path where instead of basically being much broader and having more opportunity. So when you heard that, I know you shared, unfortunately, you were, devastated, you were scared and all those emotions. Your husband, Tom, because, look, you're a wonderful mom, but as a dad, what was his reaction?
He has been strong and steady this entire time. He has not wavered in his strength through the diagnosis one time. To him, it's not that he brushed it off, but he's like, okay, it's our child. Okay, thank you for the information, and we're going to move forward. So after my little 2 week, I think it was emotional. it was hard for me to process. And like I said, I didn't have that support. I didn't have a mom of an autistic child to go call and be like, give me all the tips, all the things. I didn't have anywhere to turn. After 2 weeks, I had a very hard time talking about it. I couldn't talk to my family because I would just start crying because I was just so emotional, the unknowns. After 2 weeks, I became full-on mama bear mode, and I was like, all right, let's go. This is our story.
So basically, you were floored. You had to pick yourself up because of the diagnosis.
Yes.
And like a lot of us, if you didn't know, the broad spectrum of autistic diagnostic children, you think one thing.
Yes.
So you picked yourself up like 2 weeks later, right?
Yes.
Your husband, Tom,
never needed to be picked up.
The stiff upper lip, I mean the British way.
Yes.
But literally, where'd you find the strength then to say, okay, it's mama bear mode now.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to move past this.
Right.
What did you do?
Well, it was either we can sulk about it and feel sorry for ourselves, or we can just move forward and give him the best support possible. Like when you have a baby, you want to give them everything you have. So I was like, all right, let's go. Let's get him in the therapies. Let's research. Let's find out. And then I kind of shifted my mindset to, here's this permanent, and I had a hard time with this permanent diagnosis because it started out as a speech delay. And to me, that's temporary, a speech delay. You're not 30 and had a speech delay when you're 6. But when you're autistic, you're autistic. That's him. So the permanency was very hard, but I was like, all right, well, now we know more about him. We can learn about him because why is he doing this? Like, he had all these things about him that were different than other kids. So I'm like, great, now we have answers.
So
it's autism.
if I strip once again for the audience, so because they have, obviously they have children, and the children may be exhibiting some signs that they're not sure about. They may not be like all the other kids, and as a result, there could be perhaps a few red flags swinging in the wind.
Yes.
So, are there certain things, as you indicated, you started to educate yourself on what to kind of look out for as like maybe markers to keep an eye on?
I mean, obviously every child's different. The spectrum is so broad, but I can speak on behalf of Archie. The first thing we noticed was speech. There was no speech, and there was also really not a lot of effort with speech. We were getting him speech therapy, we were talking to him, doing all the right things, and it was like he wasn't even trying to talk. Like, it just wasn't a thing. Something else we noticed that they had called out later was he liked to play on his belly. So he'd like his toys very close to his face, lined up. Everything was in a line. He still lines everything up. And if your kid lines up toys, it doesn't mean they're autistic. That's just one of those things. And he would lay on his belly, and he'd want to be really close to his toys. He had a very hard time with transitioning, going from one thing to another. He had a lot of sensory issues, so like touching things on his hands, wearing certain socks, wearing certain shoes, putting on a jacket. A lot of sensory issues were red flags for us. His receptive language wasn't great. He made very inconsistent eye contact. All of that has improved, but he's been in therapy since he was 1.5. So they've worked really hard with occupational therapy, speech therapy, a behaviorist to help him kind of work through those things. Those were all markers.
So obviously, as a concerned mom, even before the official diagnosis, you already had him engaged in some level of therapies, multiple modalities to try to assist. So once you had the diagnosis, did the treatment or the therapies start to evolve?
Yes, you do get, it seemed like there was more available to him with a diagnosis, and that's why it's hard, you feel like they're labeling your child, but I always tell moms, I'm like, it's okay. It's a label. You can take it as you want. That label does get him access to more services.
Right.
So then by the time he turned 3, he was eligible to join the public school district, which was the biggest blessing we've had, is being we live in Mount Arlington, so he's at Decker, and it's the most amazing school with the most amazing child study team. So by the time he was 3, he was in like full-time preschool with an aide, in an inclusion class, not in an inclusion class. He was getting speech, OT, all of that at school.
What's an
inclusion? So inclusion is he gets peer models. So he gets gen ed kids mixed with special ed kids. Okay. So they get to have those peer models. So his last year of preschool was where he met some of his best friends, and they were his peer models.
Gen ed students.
Yep. So they get to mix them, and that's always our goal, was for him to be included.
Well, of course. Who wants your child not to be
included?
Everybody. I know.
Yes.
Listen,
I want to be included.
I want to be included. You better believe it. And that's part of why I love doing the show about, you're just a wonderful mother and a really great wife. But literally, there's a lot of life lessons here for all of us as we talk, as you share the journey.
Yes.
Because life is a journey.
Yes.
So education, because I know that's important. Because once you got hit with the diagnosis, and you said, okay, let's go. A few weeks later, I'm not going to have a pity party. Let's get to it.
Yes.
I like when people say, let's go. I get all fired up. When
that was you have to.
So how'd you get the education?
Everywhere, anywhere I could get it from. I put myself out there. I was reading, I was doing articles, I was looking on YouTube, talking. I was able to meet some moms that had older children. His therapist, I would pick their brain any chance I got. Like his speech therapist would come. We hired a private speech therapist to come to the house because early intervention was only giving us Zoom sessions. I'm like, he's 2. This is not working. So we had someone come to the home, Donna, who was a lifeline for me because she has seen it all and experienced it all as a speech therapist. And I was able to bounce things off of her all the time. And she would, she was so reassuring and she educated me a lot. And then just meeting other moms of autistic kids, just hearing from them, and then just teaching myself and trial and error with Archie. He's taught me a whole lot. He's taught me a lot about patience, of course, but just learning him. So I always say to people too, when I'm talking about the book, I'm not a professional. I don't have a degree in that. I'm not a speech therapist. I'm not an occupational therapist, but I always say I am a mom who cares a lot about her child. And that's how I learned.
A mom.
Exactly. A mom who will do anything for her child and go to any length to educate herself. And now that I feel educated, I feel like I can use my education to educate others for him.
Your commitment to Archie Edmond is really beautiful.
Yeah.
I know your parents, obviously,
Yes.
you have a close relationship.
Yes.
Where do you think you got that mama bear instinct just to be
Yes.
so engaged? Because
Yes.
listen, candidly, not every parent is
Yes.
so engaged in their kids' lives. Sometimes, unfortunately, they're more absorbed in their own and they miss out on the beauty of raising a child.
Yeah.
And candidly, also, if there's an issue, some people don't want to deal with that as too much of an obstacle.
Yeah.
They're caught up in their own business, so to speak. So where do you think you got that from?
My mom.
Your mom.
My parents
What's
are
your
amazing.
mom's name?
Pam.
Pam. Well, shout out to Pam.
Shout out to Pam. You're the best.
All right.
She's a teacher. She was a teacher my whole life. So I think she has that. I got a lot of that from her. And I think I got a lot from her mom. And I was raised being my grandma's neighbor. My Nana lived one house down. So the woman who raised my mom got to also help raise me. So I had 2 very strong, powerful women in my life who raised incredible kids. All my aunts and uncles that were raised by my Nana and my mom raising us. She would have done anything for us. My mom and dad still. They will do anything for us and
Can't
they'll do
leave your
anything
dad
for
out.
Archie.
Can't leave your dad out. What's your dad's name?
Mike.
Mike.
Mike,
Okay.
the best. He's the
All right.
best papa
So,
ever.
All right, because I know that,
Yes.
I got to give equal billing because, even though you were talking about being a mom, being a dad also is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an important responsibility.
Yes.
So one of the things that you had when I was getting ready for the show and your book, which is just something I got to explore, is you had no prior experience writing a book.
No.
All right. So what made you decide, who is Chelsea Bray is going to put her hat in the ring and is going to become an author? And let me just say, Tim, make sure you
It's legit.
Let's get a good pic close
It's
up
out in
of
the
this.
world. It's an actual book.
It's
Isn't that
a
crazy?
beautiful book written by you,
Yeah.
and it's illustrated by Heather Lade and Jose Nieto.
Yeah.
So my one of the puzzles of life is putting your hat in the ring.
Yes.
I love people that are like, look,
Yep.
I don't have the experience,
None.
but I want to go. I want to get to it.
Yes.
Where'd you get it from that you're going to try something you had never done before?
Archie. He teaches me every day. He hasn't done a lot of this stuff.
But Archie's a beautiful. Listen. A beautiful youngster.
Yeah.
The kid's he's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But to write a book, though, it's one thing to love your kid,
Yes.
or whatever you love. But to write a book, now, were you scared?
Absolutely terrified. I'm writing about my kid. I'm writing about such an important topic. Like I always joked, if I'm writing about fairies and princesses, it's not a lot of pressure. It can be silly and light. This is a sensitive topic. It's an important topic, and I'm putting this pressure on myself to deliver a book on such an important topic. Am I going to do this right? Are parents of autistic children going to be like, wow, she did not represent my child at all? That's actually a misrepresentation. Or maybe they'll feel like I didn't touch the surface of their kid at all. I wanted it to be inclusive, as big as the spectrum is. How much can I fit in? So I put a lot of pressure on myself. It was very hard to get the content to be appropriate. It has to be child appropriate. It has to be appropriate in regards to autism. I need to do autism justice. It was very hard. The writing process was really difficult. And then getting a book from start to finish, I just learned along the way. No experience.
So that's a beautiful thing about life, because you got to it.
Yes, you just do it.
There's a phrase, analysis paralysis.
Yes.
A lot of the listeners have books inside.
Yes.
But you know what the problem is?
Yes.
They're afraid what the critic is going to say.
I tell everyone.
The critic is just sitting on the sideline.
Yes.
You got to get involved in life.
Got to do it.
So one of the things too because, you talked about something where some families are like a family secret.
Yes.
They want to keep it inside.
Yes.
They don't want to share it. They feel there's a stigma.
Yes.
There's a tremendous negativity. And obviously there's not, but in their minds there are.
Right.
And a lot of families, it's like a dirty family secret, which is horrible because it's not.
Right.
What made you decide to say, I'm proud of who we are. I'm certainly proud of Archie Evans.
Yes.
I'm going to tell our story.
Yeah.
What made you decide?
I think the support we were already getting, because obviously it was private at the beginning, we're healing, we're growing, we're learning. It's not something I'm going to shout from the rooftops the day after a diagnosis. We're going to take the time as a family, but just my family's support, his family support, our friends' support. When we started telling people, they were like, he's an amazing kid. Like we just felt so uplifted, and they're like, it doesn't change anything. Like we all love him, and that's just, now you know more about him. We look at it as the diagnosis as information about our child, and who doesn't want, if your child's struggling, don't you want the information about your child? So we took it in stride, and then we started sharing because I'm like, I need to create a more inclusive world for him. The world felt scary to raise him in a world that's not ready for him, that isn't equipped for someone like him. So I was like, well, if no one else is going to do it, let's do it. So I started slowly sharing on Facebook, like, hey, this is our Archie. He was just diagnosed. This is a helpful article I saw. And people were so floored with, oh my gosh, that's great information. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, I just learned so much.
On your Facebook page?
Yes, just on my Facebook.
So what's your Facebook page? What's
just
that?
Chelsea Bray. It was just my personal account because I was like, well, I'll start small. And I just started sharing to be helpful. And then I would share tips. And then other people would come into my inbox with, hey, I saw an article that the Newark Airport's building a sensory room. Thought of you. And I was like, wow, like look at
At Newark Airport?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Terminal B or A? Yes.
They've really updated that terminal.
Yes.
I mean,
And now
that
there's,
airport, wow.
Now there's a place for Archie at an airport, and someone sent that to me. So
How do they find that? That's a beautiful thing to have available.
I don't know. I think they saw it on like a news website, but it made, they saw it and thought of me immediately. And I was like, wow, there's really a back and forth going on here. And I was like, we're increasing the awareness so much just by these little things I was doing. So then I started opening up more, and there was more and more support. And then, it's him. I don't want to hide who Archie is. And sometimes I think it's more fair to him to just be upfront. This is Archie. This is why he does certain things, because he will be at a birthday party and be covering his ears and screaming at the happy birthday song years ago. He will probably eat his snack under the table. He's not going to eat the food you serve. He's not going to be able to respond back in conversation with your kid, and it confuses kids. Why isn't he talking to me? And some kids would be like, Archie's not sharing, Archie's not answering me, and it upsets them because they don't understand. So it's easier to be upfront and say, hey, Archie's autistic. He sees the world a little bit differently. So I felt like there was no way to not share, because that's him, and I want people to understand him, and he's met with so much more grace and patience and inclusion because they know.
And so the book, you start out, and it's got on the cover, I love the cover.
I do
It's
too.
a school bus.
Yes.
So I know I'm blessed with kids.
Yes.
And I know putting the kids on the bus, oh my God,
Yes.
all parents are like freaking out. What's going to happen on the bus?
Yes.
Is the bus driver going to be competent to get our kids to the school and back safely? But you picked a bus.
Yes.
Yeah. Why a bus?
I like the idea of a journey. Like you said, life's a journey. I like the bus, to me, felt like a journey instead of them staying in one place. It just shows the journey of the day, that even the way they get on the bus, the way they get picked up. One of their parents drops him off with his headphones to bring his headphones for the day. One of, like Archie in the book, needs to sit in the same seat, and that is Archie to a T. Archie needs familiarity to be comfortable. And one of the kids didn't understand, why does Archie get to have that seat? Why is he getting special treatment? I wanted that seat. So there were so many real life examples that were relatable to a kindergartner, a fifth grader, a parent, an adult. I felt like a bus was relatable to all, and kind of just a common ground for kids. Like, yeah, we all ride a bus at some point, even if...
I have a question about the bus, because I can go back with my little whippersnappers. Were you scared putting Archie on the bus?
So he doesn't take the bus to school.
He doesn't take the
No,
bus.
we still drive him because it is a little bit scary. He's taken a bus for field trips. He's been on a bus.
Been on a bus, okay.
So, but he's not an everyday. And if he did take the bus, he would get a special bus. He would have an aide on the bus. But yes, we're still terrified to send him on a bus. We still drive him.
I know, pretty much all parents have that fear.
Yes, yeah, we still drive him.
On the bus ride. So, and I know the bus drivers. What's his name?
Mr. Mike. Shout out to my dad.
Yeah. So we'll talk later about the other future.
Yes.
So on the bus, which I love the word journey. We're on the journey giving back, and you're on the journey with us, with our audience. And shout out to the audience.
Yes.
So you bring on different students on the bus, which
Yes.
I thought was beautiful.
Thank you.
Because you were trying to say something. What were you trying to say to the people reading the book?
I wanted there to be, this was something really important to me from day one, whether it was going to be a bus or whatever the book was going to look like, I wanted there to be multiple characters. And that's a lot to take on. It's a lot of illustrating. It's a lot of personalities to convey on 32 pages without, writing a whole essay about each one. But I wanted there to be more than one autistic child, and that was priority. I didn't want it to just be Archie, because I don't want you to read the book and think that Archie equals autism, and now you know all about autism because you read about Archie. Because the spectrum is so broad, there's no way I'll even be able to tap the surface of how broad it is. But I wanted there to be more than one child that experiences the world differently than other peers. So I wanted someone to wear headphones. I wanted someone that needed the sensory chew toy. I wanted somebody that uses an AAC device. So Sally would be considered non-speaking in the book. She uses an AAC device to communicate.
What is that?
Non-speaking. So she's
What's
autistic.
the device? What's that?
It's an AAC device, so it looks like an iPad, and it talks for her.
Okay.
So she's able to press the buttons and say, farm, hungry, thirsty, tired, I want to go to school. They're able to communicate through this device. Archie doesn't use one. He was going to be on the cusp of needing one at some point until his speech started taking off. It took him, he was maybe 5 when his speech really soared.
So Chelsea, one of the unbelievable parts of the book, because you have
Yes.
never written a book before, and you
Yes.
got the school bus,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you bring in on different characters,
Yes.
if I may.
Yes.
Your son.
Yes.
And then you bring in on different folks to tell the story about
Yes.
the wide range
Yes.
of different folks presenting with autistic qualities
Yes.
or autism. And I know that that's really an important message
Yes.
for all of us. And one of the things that we all really need to fully understand and embrace, there's a wide spectrum
Yes,
out there, right?
very.
And your book really does capture in a really, really, I think, a meaningful way.
That was the goal, so I'm happy you feel that way.
No, I do. I was reading it because I'm like, wait a minute. Because I'm like, oh, okay, now I got it.
Yes.
It takes a little while once
Yes.
it registers.
Yes.
I'm starting to understand this.
Yes.
I'm not a book critic,
Right.
but, I mean, for the audience, I got to be, ready.
Yes.
To be ready.
Yes.
So one of the things, then, you evolve from the bus to the farm,
Yep.
to the farm. So, ironically, the most recent guest we had on the famous trial lawyer, Skippy
love it.
Weinstein,
Yes.
was an incredible guest, great guy, wonderful, huge heart. And he actually was on a farm for a few years,
So cool.
unfortunately mandated by the court system, but he was talking about a farm.
Right.
So, ironically, when I was getting ready for your
It's a common place.
the farm. Why'd you pick a farm?
A farm, I think, is relatable, like I said, like a bus to all ages. Everyone experiences the farm, and for most people, the farm is really exciting and fun. But I wanted to show for autistic children, it can be a really overstimulating place. Whereas a neurotypical child, they're going to the farm. They're going to go feed animals, have the best day, have a snack, and go home. Whereas Archie or Sally or Zach in the book, it's a very daunting task. They're getting on a bus, which is daunting. It's unknown. There's smells, there's sights, there's sounds. It's an overstimulating place. So I felt like that was a great place to show examples of how that could be difficult for your friends. Could be difficult with the sounds. At one point they were like, what's Archie doing? He just wanted to touch the tractor. He didn't want to do what the group was doing. I just felt like it was such a relatable location on their journey of the day. But I felt like everyone could take nuggets from a farm visit of relatability.
Well, no, I thought it was wonderful. And there's, in the book,
Yes.
and for the audience, you got to
Everyone
get
needs
this
to
book.
read the book.
The book is incredible.
Thank you.
There's a scene in there that caught my heart.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
I get emotional. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
I get all worked up about
Like,
certain things.
it's good.
But I know there's a scene, Archie goes under the table.
Yeah.
Now, Archie's alone, he's under the table.
Yes. Happily
Happily.
under the table.
But what happens in the book? What are you trying to explain?
And this is a real life example. This is something that would happen. A long day. He's been on a bus. Poor Archie. He's been on the bus. He's been at the farm. There's been noises. It smells. It's crazy. It's a long day. And they were eating their snacks up at a picnic table. And he decided to eat under the table. And that is him. He likes to be under things. He likes to be buried. He likes that cozy sensory. So that's very him to do something like that. And in the book, the friends kind of were like, where is Archie? And they see him happy. He's so happy. And this is him in real life, happy, under the table eating a snack. And they decided to join in with him. And that is such a simple way to show inclusion and how to be a friend. Just because it's not your preferred activity, maybe the friends don't like eating in the grass, but it's like, look at our friend, he's under there. And they joined him. And it just shows a simple example for kids that it's not hard to include him. It's not hard to be Archie's friend. It's quite simple. They just joined him and it made his day.
Yeah, but what I thought was so poignant is they're like little kids.
Yes.
and they wanted him to feel
Yep.
that he was part
Yes.
of the whole, let's say, the whole crew that was
Yes.
there. And the word inclusion is so important.
Yes.
Because we live in a world, unfortunately, there's a lot of isolated people out there.
Yes.
They have an issue.
Yes.
And instead of like looking to their friends or
Yes.
family, they keep it inside.
Yes.
And I think there's also something, I haven't figured it out yet, on my own journey,
Yes.
is when you're young, you have more of an inclusive attitude.
Yes, absolutely.
You understand, it doesn't matter you're black, white,
Yes.
doesn't matter what your religion is, and
Kids
that's
don't care.
beautiful. And that's, everyone gets older, I don't know what
Yes,
happens.
I know.
But somehow the switch gets turned off, and then everybody gets like kind of like polarized.
Yes.
You ever put any contemplation to that?
Oh yeah. I mean, sometimes with the book, I'm like, who am I actually teaching? Am I teaching the kids or am I teaching the adults? Because sometimes the inclusion comes naturally to some of the kids. Like I said, it's not hard to sit under the table with him, but sometimes with adults, I'm like fighting against adults at a park. Like, I'm like, gosh. So I feel like with the book, I'm like, I'm also teaching your parents that are reading you this book, like what inclusion looks like. It's not meant to be complicated, and not to stick your nose up at someone like Archie who's doing something different. It's okay to be different. Like at the park, for example, it's a big mom thing that kids are not supposed to climb up the slide. I let my child climb up the slide because it's part of his occupational therapy. He has learned how to climb up the slide, and I let him. And there's been moms that are like scoff at my child doing that. And they're like, don't do what he's doing. We know that's not the rules. And it's like things like that. So, but the kids don't care. It's more the adults sometimes. And I think at some point in our lives, we just get jaded and we're too busy with the hustle and bustle of our lives that we're not taking the time to slow down and really meet people where they're at. And I think Archie's doing a really great job at doing that. I think he's really raised the consciousness of our community of how we treat people, how we understand people, and being a little bit more flexible thinking. That it's not, everything doesn't have to be so rigid. We can meet people where they're at. It's okay to let your kid eat snack on the floor with him. It's okay to climb up the slide. Yeah. It's okay.
You know, one of the things which I think is going to bode well for the upcoming generations is a lot of the younger kids now are being exposed with kids with different levels of disabilities. When I grew up, that wasn't really available.
No.
I didn't grow up in the Stone Age. Some people might think I did, but the point is the Model T, no, it was not invented. No, but the point was that now the kids are growing up with their peer group with all different ranges of disabilities, where I know our kids, you know, they're in the school system, great school system, and there's kids with some level of disabilities. I said to my boys, hey, I want to be talking to Chelsea Bray. She wrote this great book, and she has an autistic son. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so has autism. Or, Dad, you know, he has autism. And it's very fascinating how the kids really understand that, and they embrace it. So hopefully as they get older, they will understand more about being inclusive. And that also, you just said, I think the book taught me a lot of things, so hopefully for the audience,
I hope so.
it will not just be an education tool for the youngsters and for the schools, but for adults and people that have nothing to do with autism, but they should know about it. So one of the things that, you know, I was reading about, and this show is not political at all, at all. I do my best, like this is like peace, love.
Yes, absolutely.
All good. This is goodness. I stay out of the political theater. But when I was getting ready, I was thinking about, you know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you know, the current Secretary of Health and Human Services. And when he started to basically espouse the idea, like autism is like, you're not going to be able to do anything in life. You're going to be a drain on society. You're never going to pay taxes. You're never going to work. And I'm saying to myself, hold on now. This is supposed to be a highly educated person. And I'm like, you're supposed to be a leader. That's not leadership.
No.
That's putting such a negative view on a diagnosis because I'm like, I'm not political. But if I'm going to bring on Chelsea Bray, and you have a huge audience of people that really love and care about what you're saying, and I do too, I'm like, well, let me hear from a mother of someone who has an autistic son. And not to get overly political, but what was your reaction?
It wasn't great. It wasn't a great feeling as a mom to hear someone talk so carelessly about something I care so much about. Just as a mom and someone who cares about the autism community, I think he missed the mark in so many ways. And I think it's damaging to, like, what he did say to that community for the people who are fighting for these kids to be included. Because now you're giving a blanket statement that this is autism. that every child that's autistic isn't going to pay taxes. I have full faith my child will have a job, an incredible life, a very full life, a very happy life, and I guarantee you Archie will pay taxes. But he missed the mark on that. And while there are some people who have very high support needs, there may be some people who are diagnosed with high support needs that might not have a job when they're older. That's a small percentage, and he made a blanket statement on behalf of the whole autism community, and it just shows that he's not showing that there's hope for our kids' future. He's just saying this is what their life is going to look like, when I have full faith my child's life will not look like that at all.
Right, and that's the reason why I was so worked up to bring you on, to basically give that message for the audience, because there is hope.
Yes.
And you also talk in your book, about neurodiversity.
Yes.
Neurodiversity, first of all, I like saying it.
Yes.
It sounds somewhat educated.
Yes.
Don't want to take out the audience,
but
I like saying it. It kind of flows.
Yes.
But my point is, there is such a broad spectrum.
Yes.
And there's so many diverse aspects to autism.
Yes.
What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, neurodiversity, in the word diversity, that's a good thing. We don't want to all be the same anyways. But if you think about the neurodiversity that has been experienced in the world, what they have to offer. There's people that are famous that are coming out saying, I'm actually autistic. What they have to offer, their talents, their strengths. Archie, I know, just has so much to offer in general with his attitude. Archie has an incredible attitude towards life. Archie's very positive and light and bright. And it's like, look what he's offering. And look at the lessons he's teaching other kids and what he's teaching adults. They have so much to offer. It's beautiful. He has a beautiful brain. I love the way his brain works. He sees the world differently. And sometimes I think in a great way. I always say Archie is in a little bubble. He's very unaware of some of the ugly in the world. He just wakes up happy, goes to bed happy. And I think that's a great
I wish I could be, I'll be honest, I wish I could be like that.
We say it all the time, it must be nice to be Archie some days.
But on the journey of giving back, it's 1 hour of love, and it feels good.
Yes.
It can be emotional, but we're on a journey together.
Yes.
So, one of the things you said in the book is about being blessed by a village.
Yes.
And that also got me all pumped up.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Oh gosh, our village, it's, you can't do this alone. It's not just Tom and I. And while Tom and I could do it alone, we don't want to have to, and we don't. Our families, obviously Tom's family's in England, so they can't physically be here, but their support and their love has never wavered. They've always offered support and love, and just love Archie the way he is. They think Archie's the most incredible kid in the world. Their love has never wavered. Our friends, as simple as one of our friends, she buys a certain brand of popsicles and keeps them in her freezer for any time Archie's over. Those are Archie's popsicles. She knows his preferences. And
what flavor is that?
Popsicle brand. He likes the tropical sugar-free.
Oh,
he'll eat all 3 flavors. Those are his. So if Popsicle ever wants to give me a sponsorship, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Archie would be a great ambassador for popsicles. He could eat 12 a day if we let him.
My kids like popsicles.
Oh my gosh,
too.
I think it's a sensory thing as well. He likes the cold, the frozen. He loves really crunchy things. He likes really cold things and really hot things. So it's definitely a sensory.
The audience might be running to the
Go get your popsicles. Don't buy them all out though, because Archie needs them. But she keeps those for him, and the way people show up and include him, they're like, "Hey, at the birthday party, just so you know, we're serving pizza. I know Archie doesn't. What can we have for him?"
Let me ask you about this too, because I know birthday parties. I know
used to be
growing
very
up,
stressful.
this could be stressful, and if you're hosting it, it's stressful. But I know, as a proud mom. How do you feel when Archie is invited to a birthday party? How does that make you feel?
Oh gosh, this could make me emotional. It's the best feeling in the world to see him not seen differently, and it's not a checking of a box. They want him there. It's not we have to include Archie. He's part of the class. We'll throw an invite. They want Archie there. One of his little besties. Shout out to Riley. Riley had her birthday party.
We love shout outs.
Shouting out Riley and Violet, his 2 little besties, who've been the most wonderful, perfect example of inclusion. Both characters will be in the next book, but we can get to that. Riley had her birthday party. A bounce house, an ice cream man came, face paint, the whole class, and her moms were asking, what was your favorite part of today? And one of her favorite moments of the day was that Archie was at her birthday party.
Isn't that beautiful?
What more could I ask for? He was wanted there.
Right.
And that's all you could ever want, is for your child to be included, not because they have to include him, they want to include him. And that's what I want for him. So that's, for any invite that he gets, I'm a play date makes my whole life. I'm you want my child around. He's not being excluded, he's being included. And that's our goal.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think Archie's been so accepted?
I have a lot of faith in this generation, this new generation that he's being raised in. These kids don't look at him all that differently. They think he's funny. So some of the things that might not be amazing behavior at school, like him hiding under the table when he's supposed to be doing math, or things that he does, and like he does silly dances and he says silly things, they think he's funny. They don't look at him like, oh, Archie's coming. They're like, oh, Archie, like he's so silly. And like when he greets Riley, sometimes he's like touching her face. I'm like, Archie, leave Riley be. She goes, no, it's okay. He does it all the time. And she lets him stand there and like pet her face and touch her hair. And she's like, no, it's fine. He likes it.
Unbelievable.
No one ever said, Riley, you must do this. And I remember also asking her moms, I'm like, oh gosh, she's so sweet with him. And does she ask a lot about things? And they said the only thing that she'd ever really asked at home was, at school, why does Archie get more stickers than I do? That was the only huge difference she saw. Of all the things, he gets pulled out for speech, occupational therapy. He would act up a lot. He had behavioral issues. He gets a lot more stickers than I do, because they obviously have to reward him more and things. But that was like her big, she felt like the biggest difference between the two of them was the difference in stickers. She didn't look at him as a problem.
But that's part of being young and being so accepting and so inclusive. And hopefully we'll figure out how to, all of us can get back on that mindset.
Well, hopefully this is a lesson to adults listening. Like, let's go back to that naive, childlike wonder.
Lessons and blessings. I love saying that. So, for the audience, some tips, because tips are important. Are there some things that you would tell a parent with a newly diagnosed, son or daughter with autism?
I mean, if you're getting a new diagnosis, it can feel really isolating. And I'm not saying you have to take our path of writing a book and telling the whole world about your child, but find support somewhere, whether it's a local support group, a Facebook group. I was telling you I'm in a special needs moms group that I lead, and it's a Christian group, and we pray together, and all of our kids have different abilities and disabilities, and we pray together and talk, and we are each other's rocks through this journey. So find a rock, find a village, and, hang in there.
Well, for the audience, so the moms group, because, obviously you need support.
Yes.
I mean, I think one thing I've learned in life, I don't have all the answers. You got to ask people that have been through it before, because they'll probably kind of calm you down a little bit, because you're going to be freaking. I understand that. So how does people find like these support groups?
This one I found, I think in a Facebook group, someone recommended, have you checked out MOPS? It's called MOPS. I forget what it stands for. I think it was like Moms of Preschoolers, I think is what it originated as. And it's a Christian group. And that's something that aligns with my values and my beliefs. So I was like, there's a special needs one? I was just going to join in general for like motherhood, but there was a special needs moms group, like branch of that. I was like, and he was newly diagnosed. And I remember just feeling so at home. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys get it.
Do you meet, or is it like a Zoom?
It's on Zoom. We're all over the country. Some of them live somewhat close that they've been able to meet. I haven't met any of them in person yet, but we meet every single month for years. I think Archie was 3 when I first started talking with all of them.
So what goes on in these groups? It's not secret.
No. We meet on Zoom, and we just talk about life. We pray together, and of course we've done Bible studies and all the things, but we talk about motherhood and what's going well, what's not. It's a very safe space to be able to say like, this was hard. I'm having a hard time, but also celebrating. We know all of each other's kids, like, hey, and we'll text each other. We have a group chat. Hey, how's so-and-so? How did his thing go with school? I know he had his evaluation, or I know you had an evaluation coming up with his speech therapist. How's that going? Or here's another diagnosis. They've already been diagnosed autism, but here's now a sensory processing diagnosis. And we're able to be there for each other, and we're the ones that get it. It's a very safe space. So that they've saved me in more ways than one, that group of moms.
So
They're
that's
a very
beautiful.
Special group.
That's blessed by a village. This is, this is one beautiful thing about Zoom and virtual meetings, because we never had that. It's really candidly, as bad as COVID was, some things did come out of it that I think opened a lot of folks up to communicating where they couldn't before. They would pick up a phone, but when you see someone, it's different than picking up a phone. Plus, you can have a much larger audience.
Yes, we have a whole, you see all the squares of all these moms together. It's beautiful.
So are there some questions you think are important questions to ask, like let's say parents of autistic kids, anything that you want to share with us, some important questions that you think you'd like to answer?
If for a parent of an autistic child? I mean, I'm an open book. So if they ever, if they ever need support, Chelsea Bray, find me on Instagram, Facebook, and we can chat more. But I think questions to answer is, I think something important I always tell them is, your child best. Everyone's going to have an opinion. a lot of outside opinions, a lot of opinions from doctors and therapists. You know your child. There's a reason why you're your child. You are the parent of this particular child. You know them best, and fight for them and advocate for them. You know them best. You know their needs. You know what's going to work for them, and fight for them. That's something I always tell like moms of newly. I'm like, you have to fight. You don't always just get handed the right services. You have to fight and stand up for your kid to be included in an inclusion class, to get the appropriate amount of speech, to get the appropriate amount of therapies.
So, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
You got to be an advocate for your kid.
Yes.
I mean, if you're not going to advocate for your son or daughter, no one will.
Yes.
How does a parent do that? So let's say they're in the school system and they don't have these programs. Like you're in Mount Arlington, I live local, and there's programs available. How does a parent, a part of a school system that doesn't offer that, how do they kind of change that?
I mean, by law, at least in New Jersey, the school has to accommodate your child. And if they don't have the appropriate accommodations, it's the school district's responsibility to find another school for your child. So they have to take care of your child and their needs. And you might have to fight hard, but there's advocates. So we are very grateful we've never had to hire an advocate, but there's special needs advocates that will go to meetings with you and tell you your rights and what your child, so I'm sure it varies by state, but when in doubt, hire an advocate. This is what they're versed in, and they will fight for your child even harder than you will because they know your rights and what your child deserves.
Could you imagine if this wasn't available for Archie? Could you imagine what that world would be like?
It would. No, I can't imagine it because it would be horrible. What he gets at school, we couldn't ask for more, honestly. And I'm not just saying that. Like the services he gets, the love and attention he gets, and the inclusion he experiences, and getting a one-on-one aid. He has someone that is there for him every single day that is just in charge of Archie. And it's so at this like prime age of making friends and learning how to make friends, she's there to help him navigate those situations. She's there to help him navigate, and she's seen him grow. But all of this is available to him, and he's thriving. Kindergarten was scary. We were like, oh gosh, kindergarten's a big deal. We couldn't be happier with how his year was in kindergarten. And he gets to leave the room and go to resource. And he's in a smaller class with a special ed teacher I think there was like 8 kids in that room, but he was able to go to kindergarten and go to gym class with all his friends and go and do recess with his friends and eat lunch in a lunchroom with all his friends. He got the best of both worlds. I don't know what we would do if all of this wasn't available. And it breaks my heart because I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups. This isn't everyone's story.
Well, that's the reason why. Yeah. And that was one of the, listen, you're a very uplifting, positive person. A beautiful smile, blessings to you. But it's not all peaches and cream. No. It's not all unicorns.
Nope.
Parents who have children that have autism.
Yes.
What's the hardest part, you think?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of hard parts. I think isolation is one of the hardest parts, is feeling alone, feeling like no one can relate. And at least when Archie was younger, I had a very hard time being around neurotypical kids and seeing them thriving and doing very simple things that my child couldn't handle. My mom's heart hurt a lot seeing kids experience certain things. Like I remember talking to my special needs mom group, like all these moms like going on the Polar Express with their kids at Christmas and making Christmas cookies and doing all these things. I'm like, he cannot handle that right now. And I had a very hard time letting go of my expectations of what this was supposed to be like. And it can really mess with your psyche a bit, feeling like that comparison of seeing other people thriving and going on vacations and airplanes and doing all these things that my child wasn't quite ready for. That can really mess with you. That was consuming for sure when he was little. And I kind of at one point had to let go. And just, my child is my child, and this is what we're dealing with right now, and that's their life. And I had to really separate my expectations. And that was the isolation, those expectations, and then also just seeing when your child isn't included or isn't being understood. It's hard because you're fighting and advocating, and then you have like one instance at the park, and it's like, oh, like. How
do you deal with that when it hurts?
Your village.
You lean on your village.
Yes,
yeah.
You lean on the special needs mom group that I'm in. You lean on, my husband is just. He's my sounding board. He's always my steady. He's always encouraging in that way. And when I'm upset, he's like, listen, it's okay. Like he's able to kind of talk me off the ledge a little bit.
Well, you're lucky though, because marriages suffer, unfortunately, when you have, children that have some disabilities. It puts a lot of strain, or it brings you closer together. It's either going to cement it or it's going to break it apart.
Yes.
Your husband, I know we talked about being a great soccer player. I was not a bad soccer player. I wasn't like, Pele out there.
Right.
I was pretty fast, and then I got to high school.
You got the speed.
And then the kids caught up, and I didn't have the skills. But I know April was Autism Awareness Month, and with the soccer kids, what'd your husband do to give honor and to bring awareness?
He works for a very big club, and he kind of spearheaded with April being Autism Awareness Month. The color blue was, and for us still is, a color that represents autism, and he had every single soccer team come to practice in blue. I have pictures of it, and every single person is wearing blue, and this was on behalf of Archie. They shared it on the club's social media.
What's the club?
Called STA.
STA, it's a big club.
Yeah, it's a very big club and a great club, and they all showed up and did that knowing Coach Tom's son Archie, and just in full support and excitement to do it. And I'm like, look at what we're doing. Like, it's just two mom and dad.
But I have a question about there. I think there's magic when you get that solidarity.
Yes.
And you get a community, because part of the show also was to get the people involved in the community.
Yes.
Because I don't care where you are in the great country, but we're all over the world. But you're part of a community.
Yep.
But what was it like? Did Tom, did he share with you his feelings when he looked around and saw a sea of blue?
Yeah. He gets a little bit emotional about Archie. That is his pride and joy. He loves that child like he was meant to be a dad. Some people are just meant for that.
Right.
He was meant to be a dad, and he will stop at nothing to make sure Archie is loved. And I think it definitely made Tom emotional to see his coworkers show up in such a big way for our family. Like, to them, it was wearing a blue t-shirt, but to us, that means the world. You're showing acceptance. You're showing a movement. You're showing awareness. And now we just raised awareness to all these kids.
Right. And also people want to be seen, want to know they count with dignity and respect.
Yes.
Because that was one of the other things when there's negativity about autistic kids. It's very disrespectful. And it's really, candidly, it's so undignified and it's so hurtful. And the people that are like that don't understand the human condition. So one of the things also, though, Chelsea, not only did you write the book right here.
There it is.
I'm sure you can see
you're
it.
buying your copy.
You're going to get a beautiful
it's on
copy.
Amazon.
And there's a little extra swag here too, the bracelet. But you take your traveling show on the road to some local schools.
Yes.
Now, what motivated you? Because one thing to be an author.
Yes.
It's different to get yourself out in the public, though.
Yes.
So what was that like?
It was, I put all this work in to deliver a message. So I'm like, all right, let's deliver it. I can't just expect everyone in the world to go on Amazon and buy the book and read it to their kids. I'm like, let's go. Let's get in schools. And my thing was always impact. How much impact can I create? How many people can I get in front of? You can help a few, and some people that's okay to help a few. I would like to help more than a few. I want to get in front of those kids, and I want to hear from those kids. So those school visits are really powerful, and it's, like I said before, it's really restored my faith in humanity in this future generation, because I have discussion questions throughout the book. So I'm able to engage with the kids, and I ask questions to make sure they're paying attention and grasping what I'm sharing. And some of them, they've already got it down. They're like, my friend in class, Joey, he's autistic. I help him with that. He wears headphones, and sometimes I make sure, I tell everyone to be a little bit more quiet when he's feeling sensitive. Like, this little girl sharing that with me. I'm like,
how old are the kids?
Anywhere from kindergarten to 4th or 5th grade.
Wow, that's
and
an eye-opener.
even kindergarten has got it on lock. I'm like, because Archie was in kindergarten when the book came out, and I went and read to his class. They thought he was a celebrity when I was reading the book about Archie, but they're like, oh yeah, Archie does do that. I'm like, yes. And they're like, they get it. They're like already getting it. And some of the questions I ask, like, what is it, how do you make new friends? They're like, we make sure we're kind, and we ask if they want to share a toy. Like, some of their answers, I was like, wow. Like, that's really beautiful.
You talk about kindness and being unique and celebrate the differences of people.
Yes.
And we were talking a little earlier about kindness. I love kindness.
Yes.
I know you had a shirt. You didn't wear it today.
Yes.
What's it say?
Be kind.
Yeah.
I have a few that say, be kind. Choose to include is one that I'll wear to schools a lot. Be kind. What else? Choose to include's a big one that I always wear something with a powerful message when I go to schools. And the kids are always like, oh, I love your shirt. I'm like, thank you. And a lot of them can read, and they're like, I love it. And so I always try and, deliver a message with what
So how does that work? So you call like a local school district and say, listen, I'm Chelsea Bray. You're good. Next time you say, I've been on the journey of giving back with Todd Leonard.
I'm a podcast guest.
You're a podcast guest.
Yes.
It's quite a show today. But how do you just invite yourself, or how does that work?
So they invite me, which is so beautiful and wonderful. I'm so grateful. anytime a school invites me in, like you say, blessings. I feel blessed that I get to share what I have with these kids and teach them. And so I've been to, I did Archie school. They were my first stop was Archie school. I read K through 2. And then I was, because of Tom with soccer, a soccer parent is a principal in Verona. And Verona invited me to all 4 of their elementary schools. I did 12 readings over 2 days. And it was...
So you can memorize, memorize this.
Yes, yeah, I know a couple
All right, what's on page... No.
It was amazing. And, some of them had me in their library. Some of them had me in the auditorium. And some of them I had a microphone. Some of them I was just in a small library. And it doesn't matter the venue. I just was able to get in there and read. And Tom was able to come to one of my readings. I could see Tom in the back wiping a little tear. He was just really proud to see me doing it and see the level of engagement that these kids had. They're very interested in what I'm talking about, which surprised me a lot. They're very engaged.
So let's say a principal, an educator, superintendent wants to have you, how do they reach you to come on in their program?
So a lot of them reach out to me like through Facebook because they'll find me through there. But my email, we can always maybe plug it in the comments.
What's your email?
It's Chelsea Bray author, easy, Chelsea Bray author @gmail.com.
I like to promote like crazy. I like
Chelsea Bray author @gmail.com.
Yeah, no need to be shy with this audience.
Reach out, I'd love to read.
Yeah, shout out to that. So Chelsea, in your book, as you can tell, I really enjoyed reading it. You talk about positive affirmations, and I have to say, every morning I pray to God. I'm very grateful. I think gratitude, attitude, and altitude in life. Because the more grateful you are, obviously more wonderful things can happen. But you talk about positive affirmations. What did you include about that?
Well, that's the positive affirmations were real life. This is what we do with him every night since he was little. In the mirror, he says, I am smart, I am strong, I am awesome. And before he even had the words to say it, I'd say them for him and we would point, I am smart, I'm strong, I'm awesome. And he'd do a thumbs up. And now he's able to say in the mirror when he's brushing his teeth, every night we say them because I never want him to forget those things about himself. And it's funny that we talk about the affirmations. For school visits, I have this like big frame that I bring and the kids take pictures and it has the affirmations in it so they can keep it. And then one of the activities I provide is them creating their own affirmations, these kids, to hang in their house on their mirror. Because I want other kids to be making these affirmations because I think it's so important to speak life into your child and speak to them like they're the most amazing person in the world because they are. So he will never forget. And sometimes I'll be like, you're perfect. He goes, I am perfect. I'm like, you absolutely are.
You want to know that self-belief is so important.
So important.
So do you get in the mirror? I mean, you can talk to us here. Give yourself like, wow, I'm looking good.
I mean,
let's go.
A lot of times I do tell myself I am a good mom. That's probably my affirmation because I have to remind myself I am a good mom. It's a hard job. It's not easy. You doubt yourself. It's, all the things, and we get so wrapped up in our head and critique ourselves. But I tell myself in the mirror, I'm a good mom.
Well, can I say? You're an incredible mom.
Thank you.
I think you're understated.
Thank you.
You can be humble, but I'm just saying, you're an incredible mom because I know like the love and support you give Archie Edmond and just how you light up. And you're not just teaching Archie about light, but also all these other kids. Yeah. So the future, everybody wants to keep on going and growing. And I know doing this beautiful show, I grow a lot. I meet wonderful people like you. Yeah. And it enriches my life, and hopefully for the audience, they get a lot out of it. But your future. So you wrote the book, and it took place a farm. Yep. Is there going to be like maybe round 2?
I'm thinking round 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now
I have a couple in the pipeline because I had a hard time writing this because I had so much I wanted to cover, and there was so much I had to take out because I'm like, this book is going to be this big at this point. So the next book is in rough draft processes, which is exciting. It'll be about a day at school, which I think is going to be really powerful, showing and explaining to kids why Archie leaves the room so much. Why is he going to the resource room? Why are we doing math and Archie's riding a tricycle down the hallway at OT? Why does Archie get a fidget toy? Why does he have an aide with him? Miss Jen, shout out to Miss Jen. Why is Miss Jen with him all day? It'll explain that in the book and how we include at school and why we do certain things. And it'll have teachers, and it'll have a gym teacher, and it'll have Miss Jen, and it'll have Riley and Violet, his best friends.
Your mom is going. Pam is going
to make an appearance. I left her out of book 1, which wasn't fair. She's going to be in book 2.
We are inclusive.
Yes, we're including Pam. She'll be in it.
Is important. We talked about a little bit about teachers, and I love teachers.
do
I'm
too.
friends with, shout out to Mrs. LaChapa.
I love
She was my
that.
third grade teacher, and it's great. We're still friends on Facebook.
Stop. That's
And
beautiful.
it really is beautiful. She surprised me a few times when I was working in Springfield.
No.
Came in our law firm, and I was like blown away.
And now look at what you're doing. She must be so proud that one of her students
I'm
is
proud
doing
of
all
her.
this.
She's touched a lot of lives, but I love teachers.
We do too.
So the teachers, tell us about like your interaction with the teacher, because I think they're like on the front lines.
Oh my gosh, teachers. I mean, we've been into the school for like parties and different things, and every time I leave that school, I say to my husband, they are not paid enough for what I just experienced. It is a whirlwind in those schools. They are doing the Lord's work. They are doing such good in this world. They're shaping these little minds. We have had nothing but positive experiences with school so far for him. The teachers love him for who he is. He's made such incredible bonds with them, and they let him be Archie, but still are teaching and enforcing rules and all that. But they're letting him stay true to himself, which I think is so beautiful. And we, one of my hobbies is baking sourdough bread. I love baking. So I try and send in bread as often as possible. Like, you guys are the best, thank you. I'll take coffee orders sometimes on Fridays. I'm like, everyone send me your Dunkin' orders. And Archie walks in with their donuts and coffee, because we cannot thank them enough for what they're doing. And he's had such a positive school experience because of them. And they work tirelessly.
You know what you just touched on, though, because there are amazing teachers.
Yes.
A thank you.
Yes.
It's so helpful to people.
Thank your kids' teachers.
Yes.
If you're not, start. Because if you're not thanking your kids' teachers, you haven't gone into school and experienced what they experience 5 days a week. It's a lot.
So are videos going to be in your future, you think, too? You're going to do like a video series?
That's the plan. That's my next venture. I really am hoping. I just have to find the right people. So maybe the right people are going to watch this, and they're going to be like, I can help you.
We got a great audience.
Yeah, so give me all the tips and tricks, because this is something I have the idea, but I don't have the execution, and I know it's kind of out of my wheelhouse, but I would love to create a YouTube series for Archie, for kids like Archie, and even just neurotypical kids, about expectations of certain things. I want you to be able to watch a quick, short clip, very animated, easy to watch, not a whole lot of vocabulary in it, simple, of this is what it's like to go to the dentist. This is what it's like to go to the doctor. This is what it's like in a restaurant. This is a birthday party. To show them, to prepare them for events in the real world. Because going to the dentist was an experience. Going to birthday parties, so hard. The doctor, absolutely terrifying. I need him to have some sort of visual. So I want to create this like series that you can show your child before they're going to the dentist. Like 5 minutes. This is what it's going to be like. Very simple. And then like even losing his first tooth was terrifying to him. He didn't want to lose it. And it was wiggly. I said, it's going to fall out. So he goes, no, I'm going to glue it. He didn't want to lose it, because the idea of losing something from his body, he could not understand. Whereas another kid would be like, I can't wait for the tooth fairy. I'm so excited. He was petrified, wouldn't let you go near his tooth. He was so scared.
I have a great friend who's a dentist. He's been
Well,
on the show.
maybe he could be my
but
dental series.
I'm scared going in. And he's a great dentist.
It's scary.
But it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yes.
I like to hold out to my teeth.
Yeah.
And it's not a great
You got to glue them in.
Maybe I should.
He was terrified.
But the point is, you're giving real-life examples.
Yes.
So one of the things on the journey of giving back is, I wanted to give you a platform, and if there's something else you want to share with the audience about being involved and being engaged in doing something, you have any thoughts on that?
I think the first step in anything like that is the awareness. I think some people, until someone like Archie comes into your life, you don't think about autism. If it's not right in front of your face, and I was guilty of that. I didn't know a lot about autism, is learning and growing and being curious. Be curious about autism. Be curious on how your kids can support an autistic friend. Be curious about how you can be inclusive, and be open. And honestly, I think the book is just such a great tool. And get the book and sit with your kids and read it, because you're going to learn, your kids are going to learn, and it's a great stepping stone into like what's next. And then your kids will feel confident making friends with someone like Archie, because if they don't have the tools, they might not be confident in doing that. So the book, I think, is such a great way to teach the parent on how to have those important conversations with your kid. And in the back of the book is a really great resource. I surveyed a bunch of mom friends that have autistic children, and I asked them questions, and they gave me all their answers. So now there's a resource for parents in the back. Like, what's the hardest thing about having an autistic child? What do you wish people knew? And they answered from their hearts, and I think it gives different perspectives. So that's a great tool, in itself from the book.
No, I mean, the book candidly covers it all.
Yes.
Soup to nuts.
Yes.
And you said like 38 pages or so? That's
like that.
Pretty impressive.
It's a long book.
But no, it covers a lot of territory. Yes. But one of the things that, because you bring such a positive message for us, but there are things, I guess, that parents don't want to hear, questions. Are there a few questions, like as a mom, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they just asked that. Because hopefully our audience, they engage with their friends that have autistic kids, not from a mean-spirited standpoint, but, they're not sure. Are there certain things like, you wish they never asked?
Don't ask about vaccines. Don't say the word vaccine. Don't ask about vaccination, because it is such we could do a whole separate episode about that. Don't ask if your friend's autistic child was vaccinated, because at this point it doesn't matter. You're now judging if my child's autistic or not because of a choice I made as a mom, whether I chose to vaccinate or not vaccinate, and that's just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Don't ask. Don't say, and I've heard this a lot, oh, but he doesn't look autistic. And that's like alarming to me, because it's like, what does that mean? He doesn't look autistic. There's no look to autism. And I think that then makes the spectrum really tiny, because there is no look. It's so wide. There's no look to autism. So helpful things to say are to check in. How are you doing? Because you're a caregiver, you're a caretaker, you're an advocate. It's exhausting. And I try and highlight the good, but it's not easy. It's not an easy journey even a little bit. And I know I make it look positive, because there is positive to it, but it's hard. So asking, how can I support you? What can we do to make you more comfortable at our house? Or what can we do to make sure you guys feel welcome playing with our child? And, how is he doing? He looks like he's so happy and loving school this year. How's it going? Simple things like that. But saying like damaging things like, is he vaccinated? He doesn't look autistic. Or I'd get a lot, oh, but he makes eye contact with me. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't mean he's not autistic anymore because he looked at you. So things like that can be like really damaging and really hurtful, because we're working so hard as moms to include our kids and teach and advocate. And then when you say things like that, it just isn't helpful, and it doesn't make us feel good.
So on the journey, and it's been an incredible honor to have you on today.
Thank you.
You started out Archie right before he turned 3. You had the diagnosis, you and Tom, and Archie was diagnosed. And he had a lot of issues. And he's worked real hard with God's grace, and your love, your husband, you tremendous educators. What's your hopes and dreams for Archie in life?
I hope he is, and when he was younger, of course, there was a lot more struggles when he was younger than we have now, but there's still a lot of struggles. But in general, he has a very happy demeanor. He's a very positive and happy kid, and I hope he stays that way. I hope he stays happy. I hope he lives a very full life where he always felt included. I hope he looks back at this book journey and looks at it with loving eyes of like, look what my mom did to teach the world about me. Like, I'm trying to kind of beat people to it and create an inclusive world for him to grow into, and I hope he recognizes that. I hope he has an amazing job. I hope he has a family if he so chooses one day. I see him doing something incredible with his life. I could see him doing anything with animals. He's really into dinosaurs. I could see him being a paleontologist, or loves dinos, loves animals. I could see him working at a zoo and being like a zookeeper, being like super knowledgeable about like a specific species and like just honing in on a craft. I could see him being very one-track minded, which is great. I think he's going to master something. I just don't know what, and I think he's going to rock it.
So let me just say, God bless you, Chelsea, you and Tom, and Archie, Edmund.
The best.
Blessings to you all because of what you stand for, and it's a beautiful story. And your journey's just beginning.
Yes.
And keep up your incredible work.
Thank you.
For the audience, I have to tell you, these are the shows I love to do. We went down, Autism Avenue here. We went on an adventure, and life is an adventure. It doesn't matter where you're going, but get started, try something, put your hat in the ring of life.
Yes.
There's Chelsea Bray's out there. She had a diagnosis for her son. What did she do? She didn't crawl in a hole. She lifted not just herself and her husband and her son, but the whole community. You guys can do that too. I believe with all my heart and soul, we're in this together.
Yes.
We're all on a journey, and we all should be giving back. God bless you all. Please tune in again. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the ToddLeonardShow.com website for more exciting news and great episodes. Take care of each other. God bless.
The Todd Leonard Show is sponsored by the Leonard Foundation, whose mission is to support the children and families who are battling pediatric cancer and those in need of food and assistance, women's shelters, and other important social services in the community. They also proudly support those fighting pancreatic cancer. They feel it's vitally important to help those in need in our amazing community when they need us the most. Please join them in extending a helping hand and go to leonardcharity.org and donate now. Together, we can touch many lives.